Welcome to the But Have You Tried bookshelf. I'm Allie.
I'm Nick.
And here we are in the library recording on kind of a rainy-ish,
Yes. Would you?
sort of glum day.
Yeah, blustery, I think is what Winnie
It
the
is
Pooh
a little
might
blustery.
call
Oh,
it.
that's
Yeah.
a good Winnie the Pooh call out there.
Thank you. Only in New York, I guess. Yesterday, my son and I were out, and I got a sunburn. And today
Oh
it
my
was
goodness.
40 degrees when I left my house. So
Yeah.
I can't keep track.
It's been all over the place for a solid 4 days there. I was like, summer is upon us.
But it's gone.
It's gone.
It's
I'm
gone.
wearing jeans for the first time in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. It's a little nice, actually. You know.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind a spring vibe. I don't want it to be cold. I also don't want it to be in the high 80s. So,
Yeah. I feel like the whole winter I'm like, oh, I'm so cold. It's so dark. Spring comes and I'm like, this is the best
Yeah.
time of my life. And then we hit summer and I'm like,
Too
I'm
much.
a
Yeah.
slug.
Yep. I get that.
So on that lovely note, what have you been reading?
What have I been reading? Well, let's see. I've got quite a list here. Oh, I have to tell you, I have not had miso soup since our last episode, but I did have Japanese food. And I thought of you in our
okay.
But Have You Tried experiment.
What did you have?
I had a nice sushi roll, but the roll itself was thinly sliced avocado, and it was like red cabbage and carrots and like cucumber, and it was great. It was really good.
That does sound good.
Yeah.
So are they like cooked vegetables or were they like raw?
No, they were just raw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So almost like a spring roll kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
kind of. Yeah, it's really
kinda fun.
fresh, and I like that. Like it's just like rice paper coating it, kind of holding it all together,
Mhm.
and it had a nice dipping sauce with it. So
Nice.
not miso, but I still count it because I had Japanese food since last time.
I think it counts.
Okay,
for
good.
sure.
But yes, let me tell you about what I've been reading. Gosh, I finished a bunch of stuff because we've had a nice long journey between bookshelves here. I read Mycroft Holmes by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Anna Waterhouse. I think we talked a little bit about this off mic, but it's set when like Sherlock is young and Mycroft is just sort of starting in the government. And it was a pretty solid mystery overall. There's at least 3 of these books, and I liked it enough to read more.
Nice.
Yeah. I know you like your Sherlock Holmes offshoots.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like it's weird that I am more into the offshoots than like the actual. Like I enjoy Sherlock Holmes stories.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's just something about the like, ooh, we're putting a spin on it that
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Sort of expanding the universe. Yeah. My wife has read a bunch of the Conan Doyle stuff. I don't really think that I have. I've seen all of Star Trek The Next Generation, though, so I feel like
You know,
there's a lot
you
of
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. It's Poetry Month at our time of recording. It's April, and I read Me Moth by Amber McBride. This is a YA. It's a novel in verse, and it was a journey. You know, it was. It didn't go where I was expecting it to go, and I finished it and was like, geez, do I need to reread that? Like, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it quite a bit. Over on the How's Things feed, Malik and I, Malika Costa, who's on staff here at the library, just led a poetry workshop here at the library recently.
Ooh.
He and I do an annual poetry episode, and this is one of the works we're going to be focusing on. So Malik's reading it too, so we're going to talk about it more over in that feed. I read some graphic novels. I read Storm by Greg Pak. Are you an X-Men fan? Have we talked about the X-Men before?
I haven't really gotten into the X-Men.
Okay.
Not by like design.
Yeah.
It just hasn't
Okay.
happened.
Allie hasn't. Okay. Add that to the list. Got it. Okay. This was really good. It followed Storm just by herself. It was like just a standalone thing. And like the X-Men are in it, but it's her sort of doing her own thing. It's, I want to say 11 issues total, but it works really well. I liked it quite a bit. And then finally, I read Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry.
That sounds very dramatic.
Yeah, it was. It ended up being pretty dramatic. Yeah, it was. It was really about his like lifelong struggle with addiction, and it was. It was not a happy book. It was interesting, not necessarily happy though. Then I've got a list of current things that I'm like working through at the moment. But what have you finished since last time?
So finished since last time, which actually I was realizing as I was like thinking about like, okay, you know, what have I been reading?
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't finished as many things,
Mm.
and I blame that largely on the fact that it's been so nice, and I just want to spend all my
Yeah.
time outside.
I mean, you're out looking at crayfish.
Exactly.
And picking up
Oh,
trash.
Fantastic.
What a time. Yeah.
My heart just does a happy little dance whenever I'm within 10 feet of a crayfish.
Of a
So
crayfish. Yeah. Because you had pet crayfish.
I had a pet crayfish, which I think we talked about this maybe on like the final
I don't
episode
remember
of
what
House Things.
episode. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole saga of Allie and the crayfish.
It's a pretty sad story.
It is a sad story.
So you can look at the House Thing archives if you want to hear that.
That's right. SoundCloud.com/allthebooks. What a great shout out.
But so other than seeing crayfish, I did finish reading Gaudy Night by Dorothy L. Sayers.
Okay.
This is, I want to say, the 4th or 5th time that I've read it.
Oh.
It's so good.
Wow.
It's so good. This is one that I was like reading this in my house, and Caleb's like going about his life, and like every so often I just interrupt what he's doing to yell, "This is such a good book."
Yeah. I mean, I think I can count on one hand the books that I've reread, and only one of those books did I purposely I am going to reread this book for myself. Like the other ones, I've either read aloud to somebody, or no, that's it. It's that. I was reading it with somebody else, other than Auntie Mame by Patrick Dennis. It's the only book I've purposely reread alone.
I don't reread a lot of books. I used to when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
But there's like certain books that I have reread quite a few times that I'll kind of keep coming back to.
My son is he's a big rereader at the moment, and he finally is like gotten into the Wimpy Kid series, like Jeff Kinney's Wimpy Kid series, and there's a lot of them now. And so he's just kind of like made his way through, and then he's like going back through again. He's like listening to the audiobook, he's reading them out, and it's starting to give him like anxiety about what middle school is going to be like.
Oh no!
It's like maybe we take a break from Wimpy Kid for a little bit, but good. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't want to say that anxiety is justified, but like maybe a little understandable.
It's a big transition, different building, multiple classes. Yeah.
What a time to be
alive. Okay,
so
just crayfish in that one, huh?
Crayfish and Gaudy Night.
Okay.
Which this is a mystery kind of falling into the Lord Peter Wimsey series, but it more so follows Harriet Vane.
I don't know anything about what you're saying.
So
tell me everything.
Dorothy L. Sayers wrote this whole set of mysteries about Lord Peter, who's this like British
I know that name. Is there a reason outside of this series that I would know that name, or is it just because I know
she
you?
She wrote also The Man Born to be King, and she wrote a couple of plays and like some nonfiction and did some translating.
Okay, maybe I read some plays or something.
That's
I know.
Possible.
I know.
I
I
could see you reading
name.
a play by her.
Okay,
I can imagine
that. Well,
happening.
let's say that's it. Let's lock that in.
That's our headcanon.
Yeah.
So it's this British aristocrat who kind of solves murder mysteries as sort of a hobby.
Okay.
And in one of them, he encounters a woman, Harriet Vane, who is accused of murder, and she's also a mystery author.
Yeah.
And this book, Gaudy Night, is more so from her perspective as she's solving a series of like vandalisms and anonymous letters at Oxford at her old women's college.
Okay.
And it's just so delightful. It's a perfect springtime book. It just has that sort of like, it's getting warmer and you can do things outside, feel to it somehow.
Yeah.
So
my wife's been planting so many things, so this would be the perfect book for her because she's like, it's upon us. Have you read any of Rhys Bowen's Royal Spinous mysteries? Have you ever?
I don't think so.
Heard of that? Okay, we did one for. We've done a couple for a book club over the years, but it's about this character who is like a low level royal. Like she's technically in the royal family, but doesn't have a whole lot of standing and everything.
Right.
So she's sort of like on the fringe of it. And she goes and solves like upper crusty murders.
That's kind of fun.
So, you might be able to get into that. It has more of a cozy mystery vibe than what I think you're talking about. But still, upper crusty mysteries being solved. You might like it.
Sometimes when I try and read cozy mysteries, I'm like, this is going to be a great time.
Yeah.
And then I get like 2 pages in and I'm like, the writing is killing me. I can't do it.
I know. I definitely have had that experience. I've read a million of the Murder, She Wrote books, and I always like those. But we did, you and I together, we did a Coffee and Cozy's mystery book club where we read a couple and they were just bad. Remember that ice cream book we read?
I don't think I read that one, but I remember the pepperoni pizza one.
That's it.
There were several times.
Chris Cavender, pepperoni pizza can be murder. Yes.
And like editing is not what makes writing good, but like it is kind of part of it.
Yes.
And there were so many times when the characters' names were just spelled differently throughout the book.
Yeah.
Like on the back cover, Greg was spelled with 2 G's on the end. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's not a boost of confidence.
It's not a boost
when you
of confidence.
Can't get the
That's really what it is.
correct.
It's like
yeah.
that kind of thing doesn't necessarily indicate quality or not in
Yeah.
terms of like the writing, but it does raise some flags.
Yes, I agree. What's on your current list then?
Okay, so currently I'm reading Miss Metal and Ash, which is the sequel to Ink, Iron, and Glass, which we talked about on the last bookshelf.
Yes, fantasy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the one you tried to do audiobook and it was irritating?
I did do it as an audiobook. I was irritated at first, and I pushed through.
Oh, you did?
I
You
think
persevered.
by virtue of just constantly knitting the whole time. I think that's what got me through.
Yep,
This one I've been having a little bit of a harder time getting into, probably because I haven't been like exclusively listening to it while I'm knitting, and I think it just needs to be like my knitting audiobook.
Oh, okay.
It's not good enough to be a non-knitting audiobook, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm about to finish How to Do Nothing, which we also talked about a little last time.
Yeah. So last time you said you were not in the book deeply enough to be incorporating the principles into your life. Do you now know how to do nothing, or are you still waiting to finish it before you start?
I'm getting there. I feel like a lot of it has been more theoretical than like here's specific actionable steps.
I see. All right.
And on the one hand, I'm a very much I like my actionable steps and my plans kind of person.
Sure.
But I have found the book very interesting in terms of the theory and ideas that it's talked about. So
I always pick, like, I have a bunch on my desk right now about like decluttering, like having fewer things and everything, because we moved, it's like a year and a half ago now, and we still have a bunch of stuff in boxes. And it's just one of those things where like, I probably could just like push it all into a landfill, but I would never do that because of the environment. But I probably could and not like be like, where's that thing?
Right.
But I just can't bring myself to do it.
Have you read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up?
No.
By Marie Kondo?
No.
I think that might be the one you
want. Okay. Well, maybe I will.
I'm like a chronically messy and quasi-hoarder kind of person.
I've seen your office, yeah.
Yeah, and just imagine how my house is, if that's my office.
Uh-huh.
Actually, my office could be worse, to be honest, but...
Well, you have a roommate, so...
Yes. But I feel like the book is a little bit like whimsical and has some things about like, you should fold your socks this way because the only time they get to rest is when they're in the drawer and they need to be not getting stretched out.
True.
Which like sounds so like absurd, but is also so endearing. And I'm like, you're right. I shouldn't stretch out my poor socks.
Let them rest.
So, but I feel like not only does she kind of present like here's the order you want to do things because it'll be easiest in this order, but I also feel like she provides a lot of good, like you can, like you don't need to feel bad about getting rid of things. You can be like, this was helpful for a while. Mm-hmm. And now I can let it go with kind of appreciation. And I found that really helpful because I do feel like a lot of the reason I struggle to get rid of things is I'm like, but I should want to keep you.
Yep, that's where I am. Well, I wasn't going to bring this one up, but since you talked about an irritating audiobook, I'm currently in the middle of an irritating audiobook.
No.
We are doing for our because May the 4th is coming up, so we're doing a Star Wars Day book club. We're reading this one called The Princess and the Scoundrel by Beth Revis, and it is so annoying. The book itself is annoying. It feels like Han and Leia have this wedding and like they go on a honeymoon, and it just feels so fan fiction-y, not in a fun way, just like it feels weird. Like, let's throw a wedding for Han and Leia. It's not good. The audiobook is split between a Han chapter and a Leia chapter. I mean, that's how the book is set up.
Right.
But there was a different reader in the audiobook. And the Leia reader, I'm pretty okay with. The Han reader, his Harrison Ford voice sounds like Walter Matthau. And it's just... It's grating, and then not a lot is happening in the book, so it's just I checked out the physical book because like I can get through this faster than I can listen to it, and I need to be done.
Do you ever do the like putting it on like ×2 speed or whatever?
That's how I live my life.
Okay.
I usually like I'll inch up to like 1.25, and then after a while I'll be like 1.5, and then I'm like 1.75. Yeah, I can't jump right to 2, but if I sort of gradually increase, the more my impatience grows. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I usually don't, just because I'm like, I need to appreciate the artistry of the reading.
I don't feel that way about The Princess and the Scoundrel, but I understand the concept.
It's like if I'm annoyed at an audiobook, but I'm like, I just need to get through, that's when I'll speed it up.
I would probably have jumped ship on this one if it wasn't for a book club that we're doing.
That makes sense.
I'm not having a good time. But I am having a good time with Grudge Match by Mike Lupica. This is a Sonny Randall book. Mike Lupica picked up the series after Robert B. Parker passed away, and it's good. It feels old school. So
nice.
A lot of the Robert Parker characters they interact sort of vaguely. Like a character from the Spencer books is the therapist of Sonny Randall, and like Sonny Randall used to have a relationship with Jessie Stone, which is a different series, and so there's always little like nods to the series. I am farther in Sonny Randall than I am in Jessie Stone, and I got a Jessie Stone spoiler.
Oh no.
Yep. I knew what I was getting into, Allie. I knew when I started on this road. I knew that was a danger.
You were
but
prepared.
You've never read a Sonny Randall book or Robert Parker
not.
or anything like that? I need a list to start writing down all the things that pop into my mind. Is the thing we should do. I really do. I'm listening to a good audiobook, and that's Becoming by Michelle Obama. Have you read
nice.
that?
I haven't. I've seen it everywhere, but I haven't read it.
No, I listened to... No, I didn't. I read Promised Land, Barack Obama's book, when that came out. And the Directors Advisory Council does this every other month book club, and they're doing Michelle Obama's new book. I don't remember what that one's called, but she has a new one out. And so I was going to do the book club, but I was like, well, I haven't read Becoming, so I should do that. And so, but I'm liking it quite a bit, so I'm glad I picked it up.
I feel like that one is so interesting just from a title perspective, because every time I see the book, I know that it's Becoming by Michelle Obama, but it's also kind of like Becoming Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but
be.
It's kind of cool.
Probably, yeah. She's got an interesting life. Like it's really, I'm really liking it quite a bit. And then finally, I know the answer to this question, Allie, but do you have any feelings on Hawkman, DC Comics character Hawkman?
I don't think I do.
Not at all. Okay, have you ever seen Hawkman in anything? Did you see Black Adam?
I didn't.
So he's in Black Adam, and he's super cool. Aldous Hodge plays him. He's really cool. This is like a 2018 Hawkman series that I never read. And I was reading, I don't remember what it was, but it was some other DC comic thing, and it referenced events from this Hawkman series, and I was like, oh, I should just read that. But I really like it.
Okay.
Hawkman's whole thing is that he and Shiera, or Hawkwoman, are like reincarnated since, however long.
Right.
And this book is exploring him like intersecting with past lives and everything, and it's just atypical, and I like it. It's interesting.
That does sound kind of cool.
Yeah.
I have to ask, though.
Okay.
So, like, is Hawkeye an off-brand Hawkman, or is Hawkman an off-brand Hawkeye, or is there just no similarity?
No similarities, no, because Hawkeye is a Marvel character who's an archer,
right?
As you know, Hawkman is has giant hawk wings.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
that's a very different take on the Hawk premise.
Yeah, it is. And certain, depending on which iteration of Hawkman, sometimes he's like an alien cop from Thanagar. And other times he's like a human archaeologist. And this book is kind of wrapping all of that together and kind of using past lives and things. So, yeah. If anything, Hawkeye is a ripoff Green Arrow. If you want to know the connections there. Yeah, that's what I would say. Any graphic novels on your list?
I did just kind of binge read a Juve graphic. Sometimes this happens that I'll just be shelving over there and I'll see one and I'll be like, oh, this looks interesting. And so I read Clash, which is there's a whole series of these one-word titles that I feel usually start with C.
Oh, okay.
But it's by Kayla Miller.
Okay.
And I read one of the ones that she wrote before, which I think is about when all of the main character goes to camp. But this one is about her having a new kid in her school who she just really doesn't get along with. I don't know. It was just kind of fun to see her dealing with that in all in all a pretty responsible way, I felt like. Which is always, satisfying to see. But it was a quick and pretty fun read, I'd say.
Nice.
Shall we move on to what we are watching?
Let's
do
it.
Are we ready?
Let's do it. You want to do movies or TV first?
I only have one of each, so it's your preference.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm still watching Picard and The Mandalorian,
of course.
so I guess I have more than one of each.
Yes.
But
and I am warming to Picard.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, there's one more episode left at our time of recording. So, and then it's all over.
I feel like there's a lot to wrap up.
Yeah, it's true.
So we'll see how that goes.
I don't know if it's extra long or anything like that, but let's talk movies, because I saw some movies in theaters. I saw the Super Mario Brothers movie with my son, who's big into Mario lately, and so he's very excited to see it. He liked it more than I did, but I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
The voice cast I thought was really lazy. It's Chris Pratt and Charlie Day are Mario and Luigi, which right away is weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Anna Taylor-Joy as Peach and Jack Black as Bowser, which was fun. But the movie just, it sets up this premise where, the Mario Brothers are in, the real world, and they get sucked into, the Mushroom Kingdom and, that alternate world.
Huh.
And so there's a lot of time wasted on, where am I? What is this? And it's just, nobody wants to see that.
That's kind of annoying.
Just, let them jump on stuff and punch question boxes and stuff. So it was just kind of a drag. And I was ready to leave.
I feel like that's a kind of weirdly stacked voice cast, though.
It is, but it's like it could have been anybody. Like outside of Jack Black, nobody was really doing anything with it.
Right.
So I don't know.
hard.
I mean, Jack Black was definitely like chewing scenery, which is like what you do in that role. But the rest of them, yeah, I mean, it could have been a no-name cast, and I don't think you would have felt a difference.
Huh.
So, yeah. I mean, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong was fun.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know. But yeah, I just didn't really dig it. I also saw Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Do you got any feelings on Shazam?
I don't really.
I've always liked Shazam. And do you know anything about Shazam? Captain Marvel, as he used to be called.
I'm going to go with maybe.
Maybe. Okay, I'm going to give you a pocket history of Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So Captain Marvel was originally from Fawcett Comics, which was a separate thing from DC and Marvel. And it was really successful, like a very successful comic, and it spanned like Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. and was a whole thing. But DC Comics was like, that's too similar to Superman. And it was at a time when there was no superheroes, so they're like, okay, let's see. He's got red in his costume, black hair, and can fly. Yeah, too similar.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
Fawcett couldn't publish Captain Marvel anymore, even though it was like the height of popularity. So it just didn't get published for a long time, like decades. And then DC bought the rights to Captain Marvel. Only by that time, Marvel Comics was established, so they couldn't call him Captain Marvel anymore.
Right.
So they call him Shazam, or the cover was Shazam, and in the book they call him Captain Marvel. But what they did was, in the story, they made it so that the villain, Sivana, took the whole world of Captain Marvel and froze it in time, and then it sort of like unthawed in the 70s. And so the rest of the DC universe is like modern, and Captain Marvel has this weird like 1950s sheen that it would kind of keep. And so it was always this like quirky little thing.
That's kind of fun.
It is fun, yeah. I mean, the fact that they kind of wrote in these legal battles so that it wasn't like, so what have you been doing since 1955, you know?
Nothing.
Yeah. So cool. So they're always quirky and they're always weird, and I was excited about the movies. I don't love Zach Levi's portrayal of Shazam because I think he just plays it too stupid, you know? And like, especially the kid who's playing Billy is like cool and interesting, and then Zach Levy shows up and is like, I'm Shazam. I don't like it. But Fury of the Gods was actually a pretty decent movie overall.
Nice.
I felt like, yeah, I had super low expectations, but I think of like this sort of loose trilogy of Shazam, Black Adam, and then Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I would probably rank it Black Adam, Fury of the Gods, and then original Shazam.
Okay.
Do you think you'll ever see these movies?
Possibly.
Okay. All
It
right.
could happen.
Maybe one of these days.
Maybe
Yeah.
one of these days. You never know.
Then I rewatched the first two Creed movies because I'm going to see Creed 3.
Huh.
How do you feel about Rocky?
Not a lot of feelings.
No feelings. Okay. That's fine. I think Rocky 1 is like a great movie, and I
Okay.
always have a good time with this series. So looking forward to number 3. This will be the first one that doesn't have Sylvester Stallone or Rocky Balboa in it at all. So I'm wondering if that's going to be all right, because Stallone was a big part of Creed 1 and Creed 2. Like, not the primary character, but a major role. So
right.
I don't know how that's going to work, but I don't know. What's the one movie you saw?
The one movie I saw.
I'm ready.
Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among
Oh,
Thieves.
okay. All right. And?
I thought it was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
Okay.
enjoyed it.
So is this your opinion as just like a regular old person or as like a D&D expert?
I think probably both.
As both. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like they did a good job of having it be like pretty much just a fantasy story movie.
Yeah, I love
that
Chris
like
Pine.
anyone could watch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But also like if you're in the know about D&D, you're like, oh, that's that spell.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, this thing has happened. You know, like,
Okay,
or, that's
okay.
totally a thing a D&D party would do.
That's a hard line to walk, to have all sorts of Easter eggs that work for fans that don't alienate people who don't know anything.
Right.
But
yeah.
they did it? You're saying...
I mean, I haven't watched it as a person who knows nothing about D&D,
okay.
but I think it would work fine.
It seems like the reviews have been pretty positive overall, and that it kind of works for everybody. So that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's definitely on my list. It's one that I want to see.
I think you would like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it funny? Like,
I
is
think
it-
it's somewhat funny.
Yeah?
Like
Okay.
Chris Pine's character, who I guess is sort of the main character, is like not great at things and like
I'm sold.
kind of like cynical and has just like messed up
Okay.
a lot.
Okay.
And so there's a certain amount of him just kind of being like, well, that I feel like is innately humorous.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah,
All right.
I think it's funny. And it has a really cool druid character which I'm here for because Druid
Okay.
is my favorite class.
Okay. Is that your character? Do you have a character that's Druid?
I do have a character
You
that's
do.
Druid.
Okay.
My primary
Do you want to
character.
tell us all about your character?
My character's name is Ariadne, which I totally plagiarized from a Greek myth.
Okay.
And she's a Circle of the Shepherd Druid, which basically means she has a ton of animal friends that do her bidding.
Okay.
She's kind of like
Ooh.
a Disney princess.
All right. Wonder
But
Woman can do that.
she's
Wonder Woman
blue.
can talk to animals. So
That's fair. It's
So there
pretty
you go.
cool. She's
There you
Wonder Woman also basically a Disney princess.
All
Which,
right.
Speaking of strange Disney princesses,
yes.
I had a realization when we were watching one of the most recent Mandalorian episodes.
Okay.
Bo-Katan is a princess,
I guess so.
and Star Wars is Disney now.
Yes.
So is Bo-Katan a Disney princess?
I was thinking the same thing about Leia the other day.
I
mean,
think
guess
Leia. I think people have been like, yeah, Leia is a Disney
a
princess.
Disney princess.
So I feel like Bo-Katan must also be.
Yeah, I don't know how she'd feel about that.
I don't know. I kind of love it though.
Do you? Okay. Well, then I say
Bring
if
some,
it
you know.
brings you joy, then yes.
Okay.
Then I say yes. Yep. I'm digging the Mandalorian. I don't know how many episodes we have to go left, but I've heard some sort of like, I don't know, differing opinions on the Mandalorian. Like it's not enough about just him and all
Yeah.
that. But I'm liking it. I'm liking the expansion of the story and everything.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints.
I'm really enjoying this season as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't understand why you would complain about expanding the story, but that's
Yeah.
just my my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like they're bringing in more cool characters and things. Why
Yeah.
is that a problem?
Yeah. I've been my list is very superhero heavy. I see that now, and in fact, I cut it down. I read so many more graphic novels that you don't even know. But the shows I've been watching, I mean, there's things that are always kind of in the mix, like Ted Lasso and Ghosts and all that. But the things that I've been like, it's been sort of appointment TV for me lately, are the CW superhero shows. The only two that are left, Superman and Lois, which is great. And there's a new one called Gotham Knights, which I did not want to see. Have
Oh.
we talked about this at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think we have. It's a confusing thing because at the same time, Warner Brothers put out like a game called Gotham Knights that is all about like Batman is gone and now like the rest of the team has to fight crime.
Okay.
And then there's this show on the CW also called Gotham Knights, dealing with the aftermath of the death of Batman while the other team, but they're not connected in any way.
Huh, that's kind of weird.
So like if you search for them like on Twitter or Instagram or like whatever, you get both of them, and it's like seems to be no attempt to sort of like, I don't know,
Unify?
make that work in some way, but
Because it sounds like they have somewhat similar
they do.
premises.
Yes.
So
They're focusing on different characters, but it just kind of seems like there's a way to, I don't know, like with
Yeah.
DLCs and everything, like I don't know why the Gotham Knights game doesn't let you pull in some of the characters from the show and like do cross promotion and stuff. Weird.
Unfortunate.
Haven't played the game. But the show is about Bruce Wayne is killed. His adopted son is set to inherit like the Wayne fortune, and then is framed for murder. So
oh
he's
dear.
yeah. So he has to kind of team up with some characters who were introduced in the Scott Snyder Batman run, which was like a big deal like 10 years ago. Them, the Joker's daughter, Carrie Kelly, who is the Robin in like the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Returns, and are you familiar with those at all? You would hate them, but like, do you know that Frank Miller world?
Yes.
Okay, so the Carrie Kelly version of Robin is there, and it's basically them just kind of being fugitives and trying to solve the murder. And then they have Stephanie Brown, who's spoiler in the comics and was Robin temporarily. I've lost us so many listeners. I'm sorry, but it's a cool balance of like a mystery and intrigue, and like their relationships are good. And I feel like this show is going to get canceled very quickly, but I'm just enjoying the ride while it's happening.
I feel like ones like that are kind of like, oh, it's like a superhero cast, but then it's kind of mystery-ish
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of like a genre mix can
Yeah.
be really fun.
Yeah, I could see you liking the show. You don't really have to come. Like, there's a lot of things that if you know, then it's like, oh, that's a reference to this, or that's a reference to this, and it's hidden a lot of things like that in there. So, I think if you do know those things, it's fun. But otherwise, like, you could just enjoy a fun like teen mystery. So you might like it. You can watch it free on the CW app.
Oh, that's
Not
good
a
to
paid,
know.
not a paid endorsement, just a fact.
Just
Just a fact. You can. What's your one show?
my one show, I'm rewatching Wednesday with a couple of my friends.
Oh, okay.
Which, like, it wasn't that long ago that Caleb and I watched it. But my one friend was like, oh, I haven't seen this. And I was like, well, wouldn't it be a shame if we all had to watch it
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
So, and I am enjoying it just as much, if
Okay.
not more, the second time
All right.
around. Because you can, like, look for clues that
Yeah,
you didn't notice the
for
first
sure.
time.
Yeah. This is still on my list. I watched, because I just did a production of the Addams Family musical right when that was coming out. And I was like, oh, Addams Family. And I watched the first episode, and I liked it, and I always intended to go back, and I just haven't yet.
Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way.
Yeah.
But I do think you would like it.
Do you?
It's a lot of fun.
All right. Are you ready to dive into the world of the Goonies? Have you planned out when you're going to watch it?
I'm thinking it might be this weekend.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. So
I am looking forward to it, though.
Okay.
I think it'll be fun.
All right. Yeah, I'm on pins and needles about this one because I think I could accurately guess how you were going to respond to Elvis, but this one I have no idea.
I really don't have any idea either.
I'm optimistic that you'll see his charm. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, I'm going to try to read the novelization and I'm going to rewatch it, and I think I'm going to get my son to watch it with me. He's 8.
Nice.
Which was about the age when I was renting it from Blockbuster every time I went to my friend's house. So we'll see. We'll see how well it translates. But
I feel like sometimes, like, I'll try and show my younger brother something that I loved as a kid, and they'll be like, meh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if it just didn't age well or, like, some kind of generational thing doesn't cross over or what, but sometimes it works really well, and sometimes it's like, well, we did that.
Yeah. There was this show when I was a kid called Hey Dude, which was on Nickelodeon, and it was like Nickelodeon's first live action show, and it was about these teens who were just like working at a dude ranch for the summer, you know?
Okay.
And I loved it. Like, it was just like I had to watch every episode. Like, I was so invested in like, oh, are Brad, are they going to get together? You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole thing.
Of course.
And it's on Paramount Plus now. And I listened to a podcast thing that referenced it, and I was like, oh. So I showed my son Hey Dude, and he was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And I think a lot of it is just like things like production values and pacing and everything.
Yeah.
It's just like kids milling around to Dude Ranch is not super exciting anymore.
Right.
You know? So it's funny how that kind of stuff seems so engaging now. Is kind of like, can we speed this up a little bit? So yeah, it's always a danger. That's for sure. But I think Goonies is going to hold up. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about the Goonies, whether it holds up, whether I like it, whether Stranger Things has perfectly primed me to watch it.
Fingers crossed.
The stuff we're talking about today will be on our actual physical But Have You Tried bookshelf.
Old school. I love it.
I know. It's analog.
Yes.
You can come to the library and find the things we've been talking about.
And fun fact, Allie had to print out more copies of her miso soup recipe because they kept vanishing.
Just flying off the shelf.
That's right. Yeah.
So there are fresh miso soup recipes there if you need them.
Yes.
And there will be some of the stuff we talked about today.
Absolutely.
And you can, of course, get the Goonies if you want to watch it along with us.
That's right.
And tune back in to hear what we think.
Absolutely.
What I think.
We know what I think.
We know
what
you think.
I love
that's
it.
why we're here.
But I will say I haven't watched it in a long time. So it'll be interesting to watch it again.
Hopefully
now.
you still like it just as much.
I mean, not like 20 years or something, but 5 to 10 at
Okay.
least. So I don't know. Yeah, so if you're a fan of Goonies, or if you hate the Goonies, I guess, you could tell us on social media. It's David A. Howe Public Library or D.A. Howe Library on Twitter. Or you can find us on the But Have You Tried Tumblr as well.
Yes, which
Send
I
us
am
your
keeping
thoughts.
updated.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Remember to rate and subscribe and share the podcast, especially while it's just starting out. That's super helpful to, especially those ratings, I feel like. If there's a rating on there, people are more likely to see it. So get to it. All right, Allie. I'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.